This is not negotiable. You don't want to be just another roofer or just another window company or whatever it is you do. You have to differentiate yourself, and that's the job of the identity. Once you do that, you start spending that money on marketing, then you just rinse and repeat. That's it. Profits are going to come. You just have to be patient. Meanwhile, dump all of your profits back into your company and watch it grow, grow, grow. My name is Rich Harshaw. I'm the founder and CEO of Level 10 Contractor. My company is an agency that helps remodeling and home services contractors generate 200 to 500 quotable leads every single month reliably like clockwork. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I wrote a book called Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. I host the Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. That's this podcast. And I've helped hundreds of contractors just like you break through and grow to $10 million and beyond. I've seen way too many contractors stuck in feast or famine lead flow. Doesn't have to be that way. If you want leads on demand, then you're in the right place. All right, let's go. In early 2015, I intuitively knew that it was the right time to buy Amazon stock. I'd bought some the previous year after it had taken a big loss in the market after another quarter of disappointing earnings were announced. And my thought process went something like this. Amazon had created a behemoth online store that's always getting into new categories, that delivers stuff to your house for free with astonishing speed, and that offers very reasonable prices. Now, I don't think I've ever really met a person who says, I hate Amazon. And I don't recall anyone ever saying that they've had a bad experience with the company, which is quite a feat given the fact that the company is apparently run by an army of robots, drones, and cyborgs. I mean, seriously, besides the delivery driver, when was the last time you ever actually talked to a person at Amazon? I've been doing business with them for, 20 years. I don't think I've ever talked to a person there. I'm not sure they have any people there. Furthermore, they have essentially zero competitors because, who else can build out that kind of massive inventory and delivery infrastructure? Currently, despite efforts by Walmart and a couple of others that are kind of trying, there's pretty much no competitors. That's who their competitors are. Nobody. But the rub for investors, back in those days at least, was the company's perpetual inability to deliver consistent, meaningful profits. Analysts and talking heads were always talking about and demanding pretty much to know how a company that had such robust sales that kept going up, why did they continue to deliver profits that were so disappointing or even non-existent in many quarters? So that spring, when a gloomy earnings report came out, the stock dipped and I picked some up. I didn't buy a ton. Look, I'm not a stock picking genius, but I got enough. It's performed well. For the next 9 months, I watched that stock seesaw between up, down, up, down. You know how it goes. And you might have thought, hey, if you're smart enough to buy some 9 months ago, you might pick up some more shares during that fluctuation period, and you would be wrong. And that's sad because when they announced their earnings report the next time, it caught everybody off guard. Everybody in the investing world was not expecting that they announced such a nice profit. Immediately following that announcement, the shares shot up 14%, then another 22%. Then it just kept going up, and it kept going. By the time 2022 rolled along, the stock did a 20-for-1 split, which means the current stock price, the price has gone up, about 10 times since I originally bought it. Now, that's pretty good, right? Now, all of that begs the question for you, the podcast viewer and listener, so what? Well, as it turns out, Amazon is a lot smarter than most people think. I read an article from back then. It was written on Yahoo Finance, and it was written by a fellow named Jim Edwards. The article explained that most people didn't know about Amazon. They just didn't really know how they actually worked. Now, I intuitively understood how they worked at the time, but I didn't actually know it. And this is going to relate to your remodeling company, so just give this a second. The article was titled, Amazon's Profit Shows How Few People Understand the Way the Company Works. Okay, probably true. Here's what it said, and I'm quoting from this article. It said, a lot of people believe that if a company never makes money, it must fundamentally go bankrupt. This is not the case, as Amazon proves. Here's how Amazon actually works. As long as the company can grow its revenues, it can spend any profit it makes on new lines of business that throw off even more revenue. Those revenues may be profitable, and those profits can, in turn, immediately be spent again on more growth. By eschewing profits, the company can also offer the lowest possible prices, which is why consumers are so loyal to it. Some parts of the company are profitable and fuel the growth growth of others. Okay, so that's the end of the article quote. Now, in case you didn't quite pick it up all in that quote, basically here's what it says. They invest all of their substantial profits back into the business so it can grow even bigger, which got me to thinking about the biggest remodeling companies that I know, and also home services companies. They all intuitively figured out that they could beat their competitors by investing their profits back into their business, especially early in their business, and especially putting it into advertising and marketing. Okay, now I know a company that started from scratch, $0 in sales in 2008, in the middle of the Great Recession, and it grew to $12 million in 2012. So that's 4 years, okay? 0 to 12 in 4, maybe 5 years, in the middle, again, of a recession. Their secret was really quite simple. They automatically budgeted a healthy percentage of that current year's profit into the next year's advertising budget. Instead of stuffing the money into the owner's pockets, they invested it back into the company. 10% is automatically budgeted for radio and TV, which amounts to a little bit over $1 million a year, okay, by 2012. In that 5 years, they went from literally nobody in the whole city knew who they were, never heard of them because they hadn't existed until then, and they became the most well-known bathroom and kitchen remodeling company in that city. Their competitors, who had been in business for 30 years, had been, hoarding cash like a fat kid clinging to Halloween candy. They didn't stand a chance. That same company, later in 2014, they took their foot off the accelerator and gave themselves and their systems a chance to get in order before growing even more. And then in 2015, they wanted to get up to $20 million in revenue, then jacked their radio and TV budget up again even more. They spent more money on advertising that year, and since then, most of their small thinking competitors earn in top line revenues. The big are going to get bigger, and the small are going to stay small. I've seen it happen way too many times to count. You ever heard of a company called 1-800-Hansons up there in Detroit? Hansons Windows, does that ring a bell? This company was founded by Brian Elias. He's one of the elite operators in the industry. I'm sure you've heard of him. If you haven't, look him up. He's worth knowing about. He sold that company a few years back, and he started another one since then. It's a massive company already called Refloor. And here's the question you should be asking. How did he grow Hansons so big, so fast? And the answer is, it actually wasn't so fast. Here's what he did. When he started the company back in the 80s, okay, he put them on TV. Everyone in the markets that he served knew Brian Elias and the Hansons because he had been on TV for so long.
Brian Elias for 1-800-Hansons. After 20 years in business, one of the most asked questions I get is, why did I name the company Hansons? I named it Hansons after my father, who was my best friend. His name was Hanley. Being his son, I put them together and named it Hansons. Of course, when I started in business, I did mostly the smaller jobs, but I made sure no matter how small the job was, our quality was always first rate. 20 years later, our jobs are a lot bigger, but our quality is still the best. That's why 1-800-Hansons is the only company that offers the home free guarantee, which promises if we make a mistake, we make it right or give you your money back. But today, price is just as big of an issue as quality. So all this week, our windows, siding, and roofing are 25% off our already low prices. So call 1-800-Hansons today. 1-800-Hansons, new and improved.
He was famous in that market. I was at breakfast with him one time in a Greasy Spoon diner in Detroit, somewhere in the outskirts of Detroit, I don't really know. And the waitress came up to him kind of sheepishly and said, "Hey, my daughter loves you. Could I get your autograph?" An autograph from a waitress at a diner. Look, Brian's a great guy. I love him. I'd take his autograph. But he's also a window siding and door guy, and now more recently a flooring guy. He's not a lead guitarist in a rock band. Hansons was insanely profitable, and he was a fixture on the top 500 list for years and years until he sold most of his stake, I don't know, like 2017, 18, 19, somewhere around there. By the way, the company is still doing great after he sold most of it because of the foundation that he built, the reputation that he built. Meanwhile, other companies and competitors grow to 50, 80, $100 million. Meanwhile, other companies and competitors don't grow to 50 or 80 or $100 million or more. They do tons and tons of things right, but there's no way to replicate the act of investing crap tons of dollars on advertising and marketing for a long time so that the whole freaking planet is aware of who you are, how you're different, what it is you do, and what people can expect if they do business with you. Now, the key word in all of that was investing. You don't need a time machine to go back and start doing this before. You need a plan, and you can start doing it now. And I'm going to go over it here on this video, okay? It's a very quick plan. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I want you to pay attention. Here's how the plan works. First thing, you're going to raise your price prices by 5% immediately to cover the extra advertising expenses that you're about to incur. I know you think it might be impossible to raise your prices because you probably raised them a bunch in the last 5 years, COVID, inflation, all that stuff. Look, we all know it, but let's be real. If you quote a roof at $22,500 and you raise it by 5%, that roof is now $23,625. You think that people are really going to look at that and go, well, I don't know, at $22,500 I might have wanted it, but at $23,600 I'm going to pass. It's not really a ton of extra money on a per deal basis, especially if you get really good at telling your story. Speaking of which, that's step 2, okay? Step 1 was raise your prices by 5%. Step 2, develop a strong identity so that prospects don't flinch when you ask for your new higher price, or any price for that matter. I cannot emphasize this enough. If people don't know who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what they can expect when they do business with you, then it's hard to get those higher prices. Your identity should be integrated into everything that your customer sees, hears, or touches. It's your website. It should be in your ads, in your phone scripts, on your trucks, your sales presentations, if you're knocking doors, your sales presentation, everything. Now, you're going to take that extra money that you've just earned by raising your prices, and you're going to spend it on TV or radio or OTT, CTV, digital, streaming, television, okay? Advertising on those mediums. So let's go through an example here. If you're doing $4 million in sales, that's $200,000 extra on top of what you're already spending on marketing and advertising before. So over the next 1 or 2 years, you creep that percentage of spending on your marketing and advertising, including in TV and radio and OTT, up to 15%. Remember, you're going to fund this by raising your prices. Now, make sure you have professionals buying your media for you. Trust me, the 15% that you think you're going to be saving by becoming your own agency, it's a tactic that a lot of people talk about. First of all, you're not really getting a 15% discount. They're just raising their prices and telling you that you're getting a discount. But even if they do give you a discount, you're going to be losing a ton of money, because if you don't have a professional negotiating on your behalf, you're going to lose money. Trust me, these sales reps, I'm not saying they're dishonest. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong per se, but their job is to get the best price that they can get for their station, and they're going to get it at your expense. Now, Level 10 Contractor, hello, that's my company. You can use us or others, but I'd recommend us. We're going to buy it right, and then we're going to help you create those identity-based ads, okay? Point is, you need a professional to do this for you. You want to make sure that you write killer identity-oriented radio and TV commercials. And look, search in my podcast, go over to Apple Podcasts. I've got an extensive library there if you want to see some examples of what those kinds of ads look like. I'll also put a link here in this podcast so you can go look at some YouTube examples of some TV commercials and such, okay? There's a ton of them on there. This is not negotiable. You don't want to be just another roofer or just another window company or whatever it is you do. You have to differentiate yourself, and that's the job of the identity. Once you do that, you start spending that money on marketing, then you just rinse and repeat. That's it. Profits are going to come. You just have to be patient. Meanwhile, dump all of your profits back into your company and watch it grow, grow, grow. Look, I understand that you have a family, you have needs, you need money, you need to buy stuff. I get all of that. But this is a matter of how fast you want to get to that next level. The more you invest into marketing, the faster it's going to go. Here's what you need to understand about marketing. It's like a lever. It's unlike any other lever that you have in business. Let's say that you get really, really good at production. Well, that's good. Everybody's going to be happy. Your customers are going to be happy. Your employees will be happy. That's a great thing. But that's not a lever that allows you to increase your sales and profits like marketing. If you take, again, 10% marketing budget versus a 15% marketing budget, and that extra 5% comes from your profits, okay? We talked about this already. So you normally have a 10% budget, right? You're with me? And then you add another 5%. Instead of putting it into your pockets for profits, instead of buying a wave runner or a cruise to Italy or something, put it into your marketing budget. Now, with that extra money on $4 million in sales, you've now got $600,000 to spend instead of just $400,000, okay? 10 versus 15%. Even if you're only doing $2 million, now you've got $300,000 instead of $200,000. This is going to be huge. And again, like I said, if you've got good ads based on an identity, here's what's going to happen. People are going to understand who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what you're all about, and what they can expect when they do business with you. And now, not only do you have your dollars working hard for you, but you've got more of those dollars working hard for you. So now, instead of sticking around at $4 million for the next 10 years, you get to $8 million, and then you reinvest that money and you make 12, and then you get to $20 million. It's a game, okay? I mean, it's a game. And you know what? If you learn how to play this game, it can work for you extraordinarily well. The big do get bigger. The small, well, they don't just get smaller, they stay small and they go bust and they get squashed by the ones who do get big. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about getting rich by not making very much profit in your business, at least for a little while. All right, let me know how this works out for you. Let me know if you've done things similar to this. Put some comments down there below and let's see what you have to say about it.